that the hole here is like purposely cut out. Is that on purpose because of the tattoo? Or is that an accident?
I got these jeans before the tattoo.
Oh wow!
So I've had these before the tattoo, and then I got the tattoo, and I wore them with the jeans.
And
I was
you're
like,
like,
oh,
"Holy
that's
shit."
kind of wild. I was like, that's kind of cool. I was like, I
thought he did that on
I did not
purpose.
do this on purpose.
I
at
thought
all.
it.
Listen,
I thought it was
but I've-
purposeful.
that's a great way of not having to take your pants off to get a tattoo, right there.
That's right.
That's a great way. You just rip your jeans. Just be like, oh, please, sir, that's not necessary, and you just cut your jeans open. I want it right there.
Completely accidental. Also, shout out Clover Tattoos in Lancaster.
Clover Tattoos,
Great
Lancaster.
shop.
Nice. Yeah. Good job.
Big time. If you guys are local, go check them out. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so drum industry news. This is our segment where we like to kind of shed facets on the drum industry in different places people might not know. Shed light on the facets of drum industry. Those are the words I wrote at the first episode. I don't talk like this. I just type like this.
Okay.
But some things that people might not know too much about in the drum world. So today I wanted to talk about drummer side hustles because I believe that every professional drummer in 2024, I say every meaning 90-some%, isn't just, and we touched on this earlier, doesn't just have one gig. They don't just play with one band. They're not necessarily on, retainer with one group. Even big bands that have, like even huge bands that tour the world have been together forever, as people either split, go in different directions, or if they're older, someone dies or something gets replaced, they're not welcoming someone into the band. Very rarely does that happen. It's more like, okay, now we get a hired gun to fill that slot.
Right.
And those hired gun guys are picking up jobs. I mean, sometimes they come here and teach on their off months or whatever, or, you know what I mean? Different things like that. We were talking to Ed Toth, plays with the Doobie Brothers at the drum show. And he was like, yeah, if anyone's got a gig, I'm not working right now.
All right.
You're not working, you're not making money. You know what I mean? So obviously you've got experience as a professional musician, so I thought this would be a good thing to bring up now while you're here.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about some other ways that if someone's out there like, hey, I want to do this musician thing full time and quit my job working at XYZ.
Okay.
What can I do to, in addition to just trying to get in a band and making it the old fashioned way? Because nowadays music scene is so different than, we hope we get a record deal and then we get signed and we go on tour.
Right.
That's very rarely. There's so many
yeah.
professional musicians that don't go that route anymore.
Right. So some of the things I do, obviously teaching. I love teaching, and that's like the rock. I feel like I do that during the week, and I love it. It's super motivating. Teaching my students and watching them grow over time. So that's kind of like the weekday work. I feel like it's like it's consistent, and if I have gigs during the week or anything like that, I can always be like, hey, I'm sorry, I can't teach this week. I got to go, play a show at whatever location. So that obviously the Meanies is my original band, but aside from that, playing with a couple other artists and bands that are writing their own music. Soul Miners Union, Noah Gibney, Connor Kirk, to name a few. So I'm like doing that kind of stuff, like trying to work with other bands and artists whenever they need me. And then also work for a couple different entertainment companies. That keeps me busy too.
Is that like orchestral gigs or like you're the house drummer for this show of this production of blah blah blah?
So that's more like weddings.
Oh, gotcha.
Well,
yeah.
it's kind of a couple. So
I didn't think of
weddings,
that too.
corporate
Yeah.
events. I've done church gigs. That's not necessarily for the entertainment company though. But for the entertainment company, and then drum and DJ gigs for those weddings. So
yeah.
I can either do full band stuff, like jazz trios or quartet gigs, or the drum and DJ thing. So people will hire out like a DJ. They want kind of like a live element feel too. They'll bring a drummer on to play with the DJ, and then sometimes they'll bring like a saxophonist or a violinist on as well.
That's awesome.
And they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's completely you improvise the whole time.
The wedding.
No rehearsal.
When you get the wedding gigs, do they just pull like drummer musicians around and just kind of form a band for that kind of stuff, or do you go in and you already know you're going to be playing with?
So for one band I'm in, we already have the set band for the one company. Then the other one, I'm like the next sub. So it's like they have their full-time guy. When the full-time guy can't do it, then they call me for those gigs. Or if they have like like a 4-piece call and they're trying to just throw people together for the gig, then I'm like, we'll give Tristan a call, see if he's available. So that kind of stuff as well. And then when I can do it, I do pit gigs as well. It's tough because they're more time consuming. So sometimes it'll be like, here's 12 dates for this month. And it's like, I can do 8.
Right.
And it's like, we kind of need you to do at least 10.
Something
like that.
Especially with
So it's tough.
with certain productions, there's definitely like these rehearsal schedules are brutal. I know my cousin plays saxophone. He plays in a ton of like that's what he does.
Okay.
He's got another job too, but primarily his music job. He plays in a couple bands, but like that is his shtick. And he
Right.
gets, got into that world and gets all these recommended shows in different theaters
Yep.
all around the state of Pennsylvania,
That's
really,
great.
all around. He played a couple in Jersey too, which is awesome. But at the same time, I'm like, are you calculating your mileage and your, you know what I mean?
You
'Cause
gotta
it's-
calculate
and,
all
and
that
he's on it.
stuff.
He's on it, luckily.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, okay, so they're paying you so and so amount of money for this gig. How many rehearsals are there? 8? There's
Yeah.
8 rehearsals for this show.
That's the other catch with it.
You know,
It's like,
and then
are they paying rehearsals? Sometimes they
Right.
pay, sometimes they don't pay.
Yep.
It's like, oh yeah, 8 rehearsals, or is it 3 rehearsals?
Right.
Like,
exactly. And then how many, then I'll play 3 shows a night for 5 days straight or at some of these
Something
places.
like
and it's
that,
just like,
yeah.
okay,
It's
so
crazy.
that entire, at the end of this month is just obliterated from
Literally.
this one production.
Yeah.
And it's weird because there is this balance of when a production isn't just like say like a high school production using the jazz band or whatever the kids volunteers, when they have to hire people out, he gets a call a lot.
Yep.
And a lot of the times when it's a smaller production, they're even more expecting of him. You know what I mean? Because
Interesting.
they're not necessarily from the larger professional world, that kind of thing. But you mentioned the event thing and the wedding. Have you played any like ridiculously expensive weddings? Like you show up and you're like, wow, why? How did I get here?
Yeah, I've played a couple.
Oh, well, you gotta
Yeah.
let us know what you've seen out there in the wedding scene, because weddings are crazy nowadays, and there's people spending crazy
big
money,
business,
Yeah.
baby, big business.
crazy money on weddings.
I'm
gigs.
still pretty new to the whole circuit. I think I did some smaller weddings like before COVID, back when I was like a freshman in college. So I wasn't doing anything
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I really got like my first wedding gig like last April. Since then
Okay.
I've played quite a bit,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I have a
yeah.
lot coming up in the
I
future.
see you out there all the time doing it. Yeah.
But that's kind of where it started, was like last April I started getting subs for this one company, and it's like it's crazy, some of these venues. Like you just walk in, it's like these big, beautiful rooms, all these pillars, and it's like, I'm just like, how much paying for this
How much?
space?
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. And then like I'm engaged, so I'm thinking about it on like, my end. It's like,
yeah, I know.
oh God,
Don't bring her to this. You know.
yeah.
Don't post any clips from those weddings. Just post like the rinky dink gigs. You see,
Right.
that's awesome. So yeah, you're engaged. I was gonna mention
am,
this.
yeah.
Mention this later or whatever. I'm sorry, Caitlin.
Caitlin
I haven't
Peach,
met.
yep.
You see, all I have to do is meet her once, and then we'll have a repertoire. But I
you
haven't
go.
met her before the podcast.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm unprepared to ask you about it. But so you're engaged. You haven't got married yet.
not yet.
Are you gonna hire a band? Because you do the DJ thing, you do the
Hey,
band thing.
we're
That's
still-
that's a
which
question.
one?
We're still
Hot question.
we're still working things out,
Okay.
but she's very adamant on a DJ. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay.
What if you did both, like you were talking about? Like, okay, you got a DJ, but you have a drum set there.
That's what I was saying. too.
Bam! There you go.
But then she's like, I don't want you working our wedding.
well, you couldn't. I feel like you'd probably.
Like,
be busy.
I could hop up for a couple
Yeah,
songs, you know.
get
what I
up,
mean?
play
Like,
a couple
Yeah,
tunes.
Just
It's
make
fun.
sure it's a drummer that you know, so that way he's cool with you hopping on.
but she's like, you better not play our wedding. And I was like,
That would
on.
be
You'd be
something though.
Sorry, I'm
that'd be
booked that
crazy.
day."
I would
Yeah.
never do that. I would never do that.
I do. I now pronounce you man and wife, and then boom! All
Yeah,
of a sudden, you
gotta-
hit the drums.
I got a gig. Sorry. Gotta get this paycheck real quick.
I'm gonna play myself out.
Yeah, how
Play
about
myself
that?
out.
You hire your band, and then you get paid. How does that work? That'd be kind of odd.
That'd be
kinda funny.
wild. I don't even know how that works. But I always like joke
Honey,
about it though.
I'm getting paid for this gig. What's the big deal?
Paying myself.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. All right, we'll workshop it.
Yeah, yeah.
But also, you have an awesome social media where you're posting like clips from gigs and different things like that.
Oh, thank you.
How
I'm
much?
trying.
You're very consistent about it too. How much do you factor that into gigs? Has that gotten you any gigs? Is that to
That has
raise
got
awareness?
me a lot of gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not just to get me gigs. It's also just to inspire others.
But
It's like-
there are effects of that too. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
I've definitely gotten a lot of gigs from it. It's helped a lot. So I just kind of started posting more as an experiment. I'm like, because I was never big on posting a lot on social media until
Yeah.
like, I don't know, maybe like a year or two ago. And I was like, I should probably like get on this because I'm watching my friends around me become successful from it. And I'm like, ooh, let's try to up it a little bit here and see if it actually works. And it has been working. I have been getting a lot more work from it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's been
Yeah, we
motivational.
spend a lot of time, watching videos. We're on our phones a lot, and there's a lot of drummers out there, and you take things from it. Why not give a little bit back and put yourself out there too, man? It's a good, definitely a good move, good idea.
But it's also, trying to inspire others. That's
Yeah,
also
of
the goal.
course.
It's like
Oh, God,
reaching
yeah.
out, getting, inspirational comments from others saying how like what I've played has influenced them or whatnot has been,
It's the best.
it means a lot to me. So it's really cool.
And there's a lot of that in the drumming community where it's like drummers supporting drummers. Like the whole point
Yeah.
of this is that. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
It's just
yeah.
like
You gotta.
gladly like helping each other out because it's such a weird specific thing. I don't know if you guys ever think about this. I think I get this is where some people like think about the end of the world or like what is the meaning of life and they go into this existential like down spiral. I think about things like how is the drum set? Like how can there be a snare drum? Like a weird shaped piece of wood with plastic on top with buzzy wires on the bottom. How is that on every single song? You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
every song, but you know what I mean? Or it's inspired that or something like that. It's just it seems like it's such a very simple instrument, you know,
Right.
and the history of the drum set is actually very short in comparison to
Yeah.
other instruments in the
Seriously.
world. You know what I mean? It's like an American invention. The drum set is an American invention. You know, it
Yeah.
hasn't been around that long, but it's so influential. I just think that's awesome that you're doing different innovative things as far as like the DJ thing, like thoughts like that are what's going to keep this thing going. And you're obviously representing directly in comparison to, hey, here's a DJ show, you know, that you go to, and here's one with a drummer. And guess what? This one's elevated. Oh, wait a minute. That means that drummers over drum machine actually is a valid argument. Obviously,
Right.
we would all be in that boat. But at the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
time, like you're living proof and you're proving to people every time you go out that there's something about live drums that takes to the next level. Takes to the next level. Cool. One last thing I wanted to touch on while we're talking about side hustles. Do you have anything else, any angle or anything else you're trying that's new, that might work, might not, or you've debated trying to try to kind of like, basically we're fighting and scratching to make drums our career, right? That's
Right.
what we're doing. You know what I mean? And here at the shop, obviously we sell stuff. We want people to come in and buy stuff, but things like this are crazy. Like Sean's out of the box idea, like let's start a podcast and like do this, and maybe that'll inspire other people. I do want to touch on your masterclass because that's another thing.
Yes.
That's another kind of
Yeah.
side hustle of yours. You know, you can make a little bit of money off the tickets. By the way, we have masterclasses happening. This is a shameless plug here at Drums Etc. And Tristan will be doing one on how to create a drum solo, which I think is an awesome topic.
Yeah.
And speaking of your social media, you've got many examples of your playing. So if anyone wants to go check out, what's your social? Is it
It's gonna be at Tristan Miller Music.
okay at
For
Tristan Miller
Instagram,
Music?
yeah.
Yep. Go check out his Instagram. There's tons of clips and different things like that. And then he's teaching a masterclass here, which we'll put in the bio all the details about that, because I can't remember off the top of my head right now.
August
But-
11th.
Exactly. There you go. But I think that's going to be a really great masterclass. When you came to me with that topic, you're like, what do you think about it? I was like, perfect.
Sweet.
Right.
I was hoping nobody else picked that one because I felt
Right.
like that'd be a pretty common.
And that's kind of the one thing that, you know, even if you're going to drum lessons and you're learning the fundamentals, you're learning different beats, different grooves, no one says, all right, now we're going to work on soloing today. Like,
Yeah.
no one ever talks. Putting all those
Yeah.
different things together and how to do that, like, I would be scared to death if someone's like, all right, and this is the part where we do a drum solo. I'm like, shit.
Oh, I was. So about that, yeah, my drum teacher growing up, who I had from when I was 5 to 18, he's the one who got me into that. He was like, all right, we're going to create a drum solo from scratch.
There you go.
And I'm not going to go
Awesome.
into details how, because that's what I'm going to talk about
Right.
Don't
at
give
the
it all away.
masterclass. But at first, I was like, what do you mean just play a drum solo? He's like, play a drum solo. I'm like, I don't, what? Like,
Nice.
there's no song.
Right.
He's like,
Right.
He's like, exactly. You got to create that melody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I was, he goes into details, and I'll go into details about it too, the masterclass. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was
right.
very intimidating at first.
Yeah.
As I was 13, whatever. We started doing that stuff. So
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
I'm a
what
40-year-old
he's
man and I'm intimidated.
talking about. Yeah, it was,
Right.
it was
I need to come to
crazy.
this class.
Yeah. No, and that there's a lot of that knowledge and that approach because I know some of the things you're going to touch on that can be applied to drum breaks or unique or
Right.
breakdowns or different
Yep.
things like that. Any change of pace in the song, some bridges can totally support a drummer going off a little bit and kind of creating their own melody and their own thing that they can come back and reference and repeat later and that kind of thing.
Seriously.
Like tell that story through the drums.
Yeah.
So I think it's extremely valuable even for a band that never has an official drum solo. Like everyone walks off stage, you start playing, the lights start going. No. It's like, hey, this song's gonna like cut out here, bam, the horns punch, and now we're gonna like give the drummer some, and then we'll all come back in, and it's gonna feel great.
Yep. absolutely.
Yeah, it's not like the Kiss concert, like everyone leaves
Right.
and then like the lights dim down and Peter Criss or Eric
Yeah.
Singer
Which that's awesome.
yeah, but
cool
it's
too.
totally different vibe. It's building that, and actually, what you said is beautiful. It's like kind of creating a story of the drum solo. You know, so I'm
Exactly.
like, wow, that's
the whole point.
that's a good way of
Yeah.
looking at it.
That's the whole point.
No one just wants to hear butta butta butta.
Yeah.
For 3
right.
minutes.
Or just chops.
Or just yeah, for no reason. Like,
crazy.
all right, now there's blues,
Exactly.
blues. Like,
you gotta build up to that point in the story.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
but yeah, that's what it's going to be about. And what month is that?
That's August 11th.
August 11th.
August 11th.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
Sean,
pumped.
Sean, you're coming to that one.
Yes.
I'm making you come.
First masterclass ever too. I've never done a
All
masterclass,
right.
so I'm really pumped about that.
Dude, we're getting you all set up.
I know
here,
you
man.
got first podcast,
We
first
adopted you
masterclass.
into our family, man. We're gonna blow it up.
I
Blow
love
it up.
I love it.
All right, so let's jump into. We're talking about gear a little bit. Let's talk into Hall of Fame